Hey everybody, Tekking101 here to review One Piece chapter 839, and I'm gonna take off this hat now because I could sense all your thoughts through the internet. Like, no, Tekking, please, you don't make it work. You're trying to do something here. It's not working. Please take it off. Okay, it's a cool hat. It's just not on you. Okay, so yeah, we had a break last week, so first chapter in 2 weeks. You know, honestly, not a lot of shit to cover in this chapter. Really, it's just a chapter to get used to the Germa double six, sort of like a 1950s style sitcom, except with, you know, like Kamen Rider Nazis. That's basically kind of what they are. The opening page is this really cool double page spread where we see like this whole dining hall where the Germa double six family has gathered, the Vinsmoke family, and you see Judgy there at the head of the table, and then you see all of his kids, and then Sanji's there as well, and they're all eating a meal. And in the background, there's this giant like logo of the Germa double six. It's this huge ass eagle looking thing, very reminiscent of like the SS and like the Nazis, but also the Germa double six have like a Kamen Rider motive, and I believe it's one of the evil organizations in Kamen Rider, but I'm not like way into the series. I think it's Shocker has the logo of also a bird, which is probably also taken from the Nazis. It all circles back to the fucking Nazis at the end of the day. I don't know. But yeah, they're there enjoying a meal, and pretty much the entire chapter is just so we can understand why Sanji hates the fucking family so much, as if we really needed a reason. They act pretty much the same exact way as the World Nobles did. You know, the World Nobles are these really entitled pieces of human trash that act like they can do whatever the fuck they want to anybody because they're the higher born. We've seen this before with, you know, St. Roswell and all that shit, and we've also seen this with Doflamingo in the Dressrosa arc. It's just these people that, you know, I have the better bloodline than you, so you could just, you know, you can be my footstool, basically. They're enjoying a meal, and they're kind of like berating Sanji a little bit. Like, Niji's just like, oh yeah, we used to have conversations every once in a while. What happened to you, Sanji? Most of them involved, like, figuring out how the fuck you died out there in the middle of the wilderness, basically. And Sanji don't give a shit about this. Sanji's just like, dude, finish the shit on your plate, because Niji hasn't finished his food. And so he's just like, oh, I'm gonna throw this shit out, I don't like this food, and to which they get into a huge argument. The head chef comes out, and Niji tries to like throw a plate at her, and Sanji blocks it, of course, and they almost get into a fight, Niji and Sanji. Their father's like, no, we're not doing this shit before the wedding, so stop it. So they don't get into a fight, although it would be interesting to see how they've ranked, because they're the older siblings. You know, Sanji apparently took out Yonji pretty easily, his younger brother, but I would like to see where the power level is between the elder siblings. And we don't know anything about Ichiji yet, though, the Red Spark or whatever he's called. But yeah, so we find out that, yeah, Sanji doesn't like them because they treat other humans like shit, and of course they don't understand a single thing from Sanji's perspective. They're just like, no, nobles are Niji's logic is flawless. Nobles are supposed to act like nobles, and the peasants are there basically for our amusement. So Judgy goes on to explain a little bit about the information they gathered from Sanji's past, because of course once they teamed up with Big Mom, they had access to all these the informants all throughout the world and the Four Seas and the Grand Line and the New World, like all of it. And so they managed to pin down pretty quickly that it was Zeff was the one that was harboring Sanji up until 2 years ago on the Baratier in the East Blue. And he goes on to explain that pretty much if Sanji would not have accepted the invitation to the tea party, remember back during Zou when Capone Beige was like, you know, Capone Beige was like, if you don't accept this invitation, you're gonna, you can go about your way, but you're gonna end up getting like a present in the mail, and it's gonna be the head of somebody that you really cared about. It could have been anybody. It was probably going to be Zeff's head, because they know exactly where he is, although that would have been pretty kick-ass to see that fight. You know, like the Germa double six, you know, a ship rolls up in front of the Baratier, and then Zeff comes out, and, you know, that would be pretty damn cool. But yeah, so the rest of the chapter is pretty much just Sanji reminiscing about Zeff and how he saved him, and, you know, that time when they were on the rock. Sanji probably has my favorite backstory of the Straw Hats. I know favorite is weird because all the backstories of the Straw Hats are incredibly depressing, at least on some level. Like, so it's basically like, which one is the most depressing? No, it's not the most depressing. That would probably be Brooks, followed closely by Robin's. But I did enjoy Sanji's backstory too, when he's stranded on the rock with Zeff, and of course, they have 2 bags of food, and Sanji finishes off his bag of food, so he goes and tries to kill Zeff to get his, and then he finds out the big revelation that Zeff's bag did not actually had food, it had nothing but treasures, so Zeff had to eat his own leg in order to stay alive for those 30 days they were like stranded on that rock. I don't know if it was 30 days, it might have been way longer. No, it was probably 30 days, otherwise that's about the time you would die of hunger. But yeah, so he reminisces about him, and it's this is training on the Baratier, and I don't know, I mean, I one perspective from Sanji you could have is Zeff is a tough, freaking salty piece of shit. I mean, not a piece of shit. He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. I don't think he could go down too easily. Now, of course, if, like, the entire Germa Double Six rolls up into his freaking, the Baratier, they'll probably be able to take them down no problem. We don't really know what's changed about the Baratier in 2 years. But I don't think Zeff would want Sanji to, like, worry about him to that extent. I don't think that, because, Sanji's going against his wills for a lot here to stay with the Germa Double Six, and I don't think Zeff would have wanted that for him. He would probably just been like, don't worry about me, I'll be fine, whatever, I'm an old man or whatever, you need to go and do what you need to do. But Sanji, of course, still cherishes Zeff as a father figure, basically, so he decides to stick around anyway. So we pretty much just cut from that point to the end of the chapter, where we see Sanji, the chef from earlier, the head chef of the Germa Double Six. It's this petite, frail little woman, and Niji beat the shit out of her, basically. After the whole altercation, Niji and Sanji almost get into a fight. Niji throws a kick right at Sanji's face, and Judgy tells him to stop at the last second, but it results in this huge freaking shockwave. So it would have been a pretty cool fight. But anyway, yeah, so Niji, after that whole altercation, went and just beat the ever-loving shit out of this girl, and Sanji's like, I need, medical attention, come on, this guy, he's not scum, he's lower than scum, he's like the defecation underneath the scum. So, Yonji shows up, remarkably, he's acting all snide and sarcastic, like, you brought this on yourself, Sanji. We do see, like, medical staff, though, show up, so I don't know what it is. I guess they're not as cold-hearted as they seem to be. I don't know what that was. But, yeah, Yonji's like, hey, let me show you something, though. Some place that we always wanted to go when we were kids. So they go to this vault. And apparently they tried to get in there all the time when they were kids, but they were never allowed. But now they're allowed to get into the vault. Yonji has the combination. So they go into the vault, and right over here is what's in the vault. It's a huge freaking room that has a giant-ass tank in it. And in each one of the tanks, there's a human being, and they look exactly all the same, like they're a clone army, and they're the people that we saw training on the decks of the Germa Double Six. They kind of all look like Virgo a little bit. And he just goes down and says, we have 54 MS and then like 22 MSTs, and we still need 32, MTs or whatever else. He's like, they all have different names or whatever. We don't exactly know what they mean yet, but they all start with M. So they're basically a clone army, which doesn't. It makes sense because the Germa Double Six is this traveling like nation, so where exactly do their people come from, so it would make perfect sense for them to just make bio warriors, basically, like the clone army, for them to obey the Germa Double Six with an iron rule without any fear of being betrayed or anything like that. So that would make perfect sense right there. Sanji's just looking at this like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, they have a clone army. That's cool, I guess. Also, something else I forgot to mention. They mentioned Reverie very, very briefly. They mentioned that, yeah, the Reverie's coming up, which is going to be a big deal. I don't know where this shit's all going to fit in, because we now have the arc with Big Mom, and then, Luffy's arriving on Whole Cake Island, and then the Germa Double Six are going to, like, tie back into that eventually. And then maybe the Reverie going along, maybe the same, like, maybe immediately after this arc, or along the same arc, and then Wano Kuni after it's all over. I don't know. But yeah, a pretty brief chapter. It just hammers in more that the Germa Double Six and the Vinsmoke family are just pieces of human trash, essentially, which is why Sanji left. We didn't exactly get a reason why, like, how did he leave? Why did he leave? I mean, we know why did he leave, but how did he leave? How did he come, to be in the East Blue if he was in the North Blue originally? How did that? Because that's an interesting. He still would be a child. You know, so I'm interested in how a child would have been able to cross the red line at such a young age. He eventually found work on the Orbit, which is the cruise ship that Zeff's pirates attacked, the Cook pirates. But we don't exactly know anything about that. But yeah, Clone Army, probably going to be relevant in the future. There's easily probably close to 100 of them, not just in this tank, but there was like other tanks behind them. So that's probably going to be some explanation on exactly what that is, how that works. And it's going to be more or less the fodder soldiers for this arc. We always need fodder soldiers, you know. We always need the people that the Straw Hats can just run around and beat the shit out of. It was like the zombies on Thriller Bark, you know. It was the random Marines during Marineford. It's going to be the clone army that the Germa 66 is culminating here. They really are Kamen Rider villains. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. Once again, short chapter. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. So be Tekking101 signing out. What do you think is going to happen next? What do you think we're going to have another Germa 66 chapter next? Do you think we're going to find out more about the individual brothers or sisters of Sanji? The sister, you know, I have feelings about her. I mean, I have feelings for her, but I have feelings about her that she's going to turn out to be something more than because she's not much of a dick as everyone else is, you know? Like Niji and Ichiji and Yonji, you could tell they're just assholes. Like they don't care. They've completely like adopted the world noble kind of mentality, but the Sanji's sister is a little bit different. You know, she helped Luffy. I don't know if she's going to help him later on. We'll see where that goes. But anyway, thanks guys. Signing out.